Rowan, get up.
We still alive?
Come on. Let's get you in and get you rested on an actual bed. Surely that would be more comfortable, right? Rowan's energy had to have been depleted from his fights in the initiation. His breathing was normal enough, but his eyes were drooping. He gently pushed me away, showing that he didn't need help standing. Something I still heavily doubted, but better for him to fall on his face after my attempt at help rather than just letting him fall, then help. To my surprise, he awkwardly and slowly walked off the airship, holding his side to support his ribs. Sunny and Morado followed him down, Sunny giving me a side glance of annoyance. That's going to be a problem. Granted, this entire team is going to be a mess. Just gonna hope that I'm not gonna be the leader. Or Sunny. Or Morado. Or... okay, well, I wouldn't be that bad, right? The soldiers led us to a large auditorium. Not too many other teams arrived before us. The doors on the other side of the auditorium opened, and out came cart after cart filled with food. Freshly cooked, if that delicious smell has anything to say about it. I noticed Rowan stiff and breathe in really deep. My initial reaction was to look around, but Sunny was on the other side of me.
I didn't do anything.
Fine. Rowan, let's go get some food.
You guys go on ahead. I'll find us a seat.
I was about to say something until Morado put a hand on Rowan's shoulder.
A warrior deserves food after a fight to get strength for the next one.
He wouldn't look Morado in the eye, his face searching for excuses. To his benefit, he found none, and allowed Morado to lead him over to the food. He's gonna be the death of us.
My offer still stands.
He doesn't need...
Oh, come on. It's obvious he was abused, pretty deeply tied up in there. All he needs is a helping hand untying the knots.
He doesn't need you digging around in his head. You could just as easily make it worse. Untying the knots would just make all the problems he's hiding rise to the surface. That could either be a great thing, or it will break him. Sunny stood there for a second before walking forward.
Fine. We'll do it your way for now. At least he can still hunt in his state.
Sunny confused me. She seemed conniving, looking for ways to benefit her. But yet, in this interaction, she seemed determined to help Rowan. You could argue that Rowan being more mentally together would make it harder for her to use her semblance. Maybe. However, on the other hand, she very much seemed the type to desire to succeed. Having a team that is mentally on the same page would increase those chances. I just sighed and followed the boys to the food. The smell hit me and instantly made me drool. I spent a lot of energy in the short time we were at the initiation. There were ribs and steaks and fruits and rolls. Oh, God, I need a bigger plate. I just started slamming food onto the plate. I turned my head to see Rowan looking at me.
What are you looking at? We did a lot of fighting and running.
He looked flustered for a second and started putting a little food on there. Just a couple of ribs and an apple.
Switch me.
What?
I said switch me. You're taking my plate.
No, it's fine. This is...
I didn't ask if it was preferred. We are making changes. We're gonna put weight on you. You are gonna start working out. If I hear any complaints, then we will double the workouts. We're gonna fix whatever happened to you.
And what do you think happened to me?
Don't know. What I do know is that you are 40 pounds underweight. You are reckless, and you get winded after the shortest amount of fighting. We're fixing all of that.
He again looked away for some excuse or rebuttal.
thankfully. He isn't all that smart and can't come up with anything. And he switched me plates. He nodded his thanks and walked to Morado, who was already sitting and scarfing food. I looked at the plate he was satisfied with and shook my head, and started gathering food again. Rowan's formed habits are going to be hard to break, but hopefully just pushing him to eat and form healthier habits will help things stick. Granted, I am running the risk that he will resent me as well as whoever tormented him before, but as long as he becomes healthier, that's fine.
Are you going to sit down, or are you going to keep piling ribs?
Sunny's voice made me refocus, and sure enough, the entirety of my plate was covered in ribs. I sighed and bowed my head.
If I didn't know any better, I'd say you two were dating with how you dote on him.
We aren't dating! I yelled that, didn't I? Yep. From the growing crowd stairs. I did. Fuck. Okay, just pretend you didn't do anything, Ashley. Just grab a napkin. Nope, drop that one. Pick up 4 napkins? Sure. Sit down by Rowan and pretend that it wasn't you making a scene.
Is there a reason you yelled?
Shut up, himbo brain. Rowan and Morado looked at one another and started eating. Morado predictably ate his food quickly, while Rowan, equally predictable, ate slowly. Watching him eat reminded me of a scavenger in the wild. Eating, but keeping watch to make sure the original predator doesn't come back to take the food. Sunny sat across from me with a smirk on her face. God, she was agitating.
Oh, don't worry. She's just in denial over simple things.
Rowan's tail twitched and looked up from his plate, smudges of barbecue sauce on his face from the ribs. He blinked a couple of times, his brain trying to understand what could it be. He closed his eyes for a second and looked at Sunny.
It is wrong to force someone to respond in a certain way if she doesn't want to.
Rowan, yes! I knew he would be on my side, even if he doesn't understand the situation.
No matter how obvious the contrary may be.
You empty-headed, reckless, over-absorbent moron! You did so good until right there! Before I got to say anything else, the lights began to dim except for the lights on the stage. Headmaster, body of Beacon Academy, stood in front of a microphone. He looked relaxed, but had an air of stern seriousness to him. He remained silent for a time, the only sounds of whispers and plates clanging as people ate.
I wish to immediately start this with thanking all the gods that every single one of you initiates made it through without fatality. Normally, we would present you on the stage. However, due to some technical difficulties, we could not get it to work. So, I will name off the members and the team name. I apologize for the less ceremonious way of doing this, but...
The headmaster was nudged by another member of the facility, and immediately cleared his throat before continuing.
Yes. Well... Anyway, I am Headmaster Crimson Body, and welcome to Beacon Academy. The place where you will be tested, not only physically, but mentally. I wish I could stand here and tell you that you will all be safe, but I cannot. I wish I could say to you that you will all have long lives, but I cannot. That the person next to you will always be there, but I cannot. This is a bloody business, and I am only here to give you the tools to prevent an early grave. What you do with it is completely up to you, and even if you are perfect, an early retirement, or worse, can happen in a moment. The first lesson you will learn, I will teach you now. No one is invincible. No one is a god. Remember this, be vigilant, and pray to whatever creator you believe in. That way, if the worst happens, you can walk through the door to the afterlife, knowing you did everything to prevent it. But also know that this place and this path, as bloody and dangerous as it is, brings hope to everyone. The job of a hunter goes beyond a simple monster hunter. We are guardians, a secondary police force, bounty hunters. We sometimes even have to get the occasional cat out of a tree, a much more dangerous endeavor than one might think. Yet these are important, and the smiles of relief when a loved one is reunited with their family overshadows that fear of death that even the most vile of grim can produce. Which leads to the second lesson. Appreciate everything you do and accept the love and respect of Remnant's people. You will have children hug you and wanting to be like you. You will have parents thanking you for saving their child, which leads to the third lesson. Be open and emotionally available to the public when the need arises. Sometimes that child couldn't be saved, or even spouse, father, mother, sister. Whatever it may be, you will be grieving a failure. They'll be grieving a life. Show compassion. Show kindness. A hug is not inappropriate. Sometimes it's the only thing keeping them, and maybe even yourself, from falling apart. In conclusion, be vigilant, be appreciative, and be kind.
I looked around and everyone was shifting uncomfortably. I always thought these introductory speeches were supposed to be uplifting and encouraging. But at the same time, this tactic was a bit more honest and less optimistic than his pre-initiation speech, which was smart. Telling everyone, yo, you could die, probably wouldn't be the best thing before launching people into a grim-infested forest. After a long moment, the headmaster began.
Now that the introductions are out of the way, let us start the, albeit underwhelming, team formation ceremony. When I read out your names and team name, please make your way to the dorms, and this shall conclude our ceremony.
I saw other students begin to straighten up in their seats. The speech shook a lot of the people. I looked at my team. None of them, not even Sunny, seemed fazed. I guess I underestimated them. I smirked a bit and looked back at the stage. Another member of the facility handed over a sheet of paper as he looked down and took a drink of water.
Our first team. Team leader, Ashley Figueroa. Morado Core. Sunny Breeze, partner 2 Morado Core. Rowan Reignier, partner of Ashley Figueroa. Team Amber, please make your way to your dorm, and congratulations on completing initiation in near record time.
I looked at my team. Oh, shit. I knew they were gonna pick me for leader. It's because I rallied them to fight the Griffins, wasn't it? Son of a bitch. I should have let Sunny lead. Wait. No, that would be worse. I looked at Sunny. She was capable, but anyone who was that casual and using a very dangerous semblance would not make the best leader. My gaze turned to Morado Core, who finished his food. Yeah, he seemed like a good guy and passionate too. I don't know if he could do leadership good, though. He seemed like the guy you kinda let loose and hope for the best. Then I looked at my partner, Rowan Reignier. I honestly don't know what to do with him. He's got a lot of issues to work through, but could he be a capable leader? Maybe. But just something in his stare. His body language oddly seemed more comfortable out there fighting than in here where it's safe. Food. Everything. I put my hand on his shoulder. He tensed and looked. I just smiled and looked at his almost empty plate.
Good.
Glad you ate. I stood up and stretched, my tail swaying. I would be more nervous about my future at the school, but honestly, now that I've eaten, all I wanted was a hot shower and bed. I gestured to my team. Come on, let's go. We need to sleep off the food.
I called dibs on the shower.
That bitch beat me to it. Oh well, I guess I could have just said so. But for whatever reason, I just assumed we would have waited until we were actually in the dorm room before making those kinds of decisions. But here I am. Could this be counted as a mutiny of my leadership? Probably wouldn't stand, though. Oh well. I guess I'll just go second.
I will have it after Sunny.
Morado, you muscle-brained bastard! Calm down, Ashley. It's fine. It is absolutely fine. I looked at Rowan, half expecting him to call dibs on third. Rowan looked at me. His eyes looked so unbelievably tired.
You can have it before me. I will probably lay down.
If I was a naturally more affectionate person, I would have hugged him. Instead, I just nodded my head at him. I appreciate it. He rubbed the back of his head, his tail swaying back and forth in a serpentine fashion. His face gave nothing away, but being around tailed faunus like myself all my life, I know what those movements mean. He was embarrassed. This savage fighting cat faunus was flustered, even if it's just a little. I was way too tired to tease him on it. Plus, I didn't really know him all that well yet. Teasing little mannerisms can wait. It's time to relax. We walked out of the building, following maps and signs to get to our dorm building. The courtyard was unsurprisingly gorgeous. Beautiful flowers, a fountain in the middle of the courtyard with hedges and benches around it. A statue of a warrior holding the head of a Beowulf in one hand and a sword in the other. This was way bigger than anything I have ever seen in my neck of the woods in Mantle, other than the arenas where I would fight. Eventually, we found the door room with our name on the screen. Our scrolls rang with what looked like a barcode appeared on the front, and I held it in front of the nameplate. A beep and the sound of the door unlocking followed. I opened the door to see a pretty basic room with 4 beds, each with one of our luggages around it. A huge walk-in closet. There was a small stove and refrigerator. Cabinets surrounded the counter and stove. There was a door at the far end, which I could only guess was the bathroom.
Wait, we're in the same room?
Even though I figured that would be the case, it too concerned me. Like putting young adults of different genders in the same room surely caused problems at some point. Though, I guess we are all relatively trained fighters, and just about any fighting style would teach you self-control. Either way. So ground rules need to be made. I looked at the boys. Rowan seemed unaffected, so me giving him a thank you flustered him a bit. But the idea of sharing a room with attractive women gave no reaction. Morado seemed a bit flushed, but he also showed no huge reactions. And this is for everyone, not just for the boys. No need to single out half of us. I don't do double standards. Gods know that Atlas is built on the foundation of double standards. So, since I'm leader, I'm gonna make sure that as few exist as possible. 1. No one walks in while someone else is in the shower, even in emergencies. Hold it in or go to the public bathroom. 2. If the quick change of clothes needs to happen, we do it in the closet. 3. No shirtless or underpants sleeping. Morado seemed to have taken offense to that last one. Sorry, big guy. If girls can't, guys can't in this dorm either. 4. I can add or change any role at any time. Everyone seemed to at least slightly agree,
Are we done?
her annoyed tone grating against my brain. Yeah, we're done, frickin' princess. To my dismay, she ignored the comment and sat on the bed that had her stuff and started sifting through her luggage until she found some clothes and went to the bathroom. After a few moments, there was the sound of running water. I just prayed that Sunny wasn't the kind of person to spend hours in the bathroom. I will not be afraid to whoop some ass in that case. Morado was organizing his possessions. Unsurprisingly, the guy had dumbbells. I know I said all the himbo stuff, but I didn't actually think he had weights in his bags. I looked over at Rowan, who walked in the closet and in mere seconds walked out in a tank top. He looked at the torn shirt and sighed. He looked through his bag and took out a needle and some string and started stitching the shirt. Watching him move his hands so weirdly precise and his eyes being lost in the moment, he noticed me watching him. He went back to his stitching.
Where I come from, you need to understand how to keep as much stuff together as you can. Materials don't come by often.
Makes sense. I figured it was something like that. I just kinda liked watching him for a bit. He finished stitching the last injury to the shirt and put it into a separate bag from his other clothes. He looked back at me.
Is there anything you need me to do before I lay down?
I shook my head. His eyes looked barely focused, and he closed his eyes, nodding at me and laying back. He tossed and turned for a little bit, and then, once he found a spot, his breathing deepened and slowed his tail going over his waist. Again, I was met with a somewhat cute image of a sleeping Rowan face. His face was calm and relaxed. How it should always be. Not that it was my problem, but as his leader, shouldn't I help him?
Ashley,
Yeah?
I want you to know I will do my best to be a warrior worthy of your leadership.
His eyes had such a passionate sincerity. It was oddly adorable. I couldn't help but smirk. Thank you, Morado. And I'll do my best to be a leader worthy of, your warrior-ness.
And him? He is undisciplined and animalistic.
Careful, threading the needle there a bit.
You know I didn't mean because he's a faunus.
Yeah, sorry. I was born in Atlas. Faunus aren't treated the best. Morado was silent for a moment and nodded.
I'm sorry that you went through that.
It's fine. Most of the time, you can ignore it.
Even the strongest sword can break.
He went back to organizing, even laying out clothes for his shower. I sat on my bed, getting my own clothes. Just a tank top and some gym shorts when Sunny walked out.
God,
She saw Rowan sleeping and started over. But quieter.
God, I needed that.
Sunny sat down, drying her hair with the towel, while Morado walked in after. The water started up again.
Just so you know, I hate that you were the leader. I think it should be me. I'm smarter and a lot more convincing on my orders.
Let me stop you there. You aren't more convincing. Your semblance hinders the victim's ability to reason and agrees with you. Though, I'm sure your convincing probably has a limit to how severe a command you can give. Sunny looked at me and glared. I wonder what would happen if you frequently use it on someone. Would it break their mind completely, or would the mind form an immunity? Sunny was silent. I figured this would be the response. Maybe I hit too low. Look, I have no idea if I'm gonna be a good leader, but I was the one picked because of a one quick-witted set of commands to get our asses moving so we didn't die. I personally don't think that is enough to justify being a leader, but I guess it was the only one our team had.
Well, we did get out of there relatively unharmed.
She looked back at Rowan's sleeping form.
You think he knows he's been abused?
Her question was calm, but it had the sound of a hanging thought.
Hell, do we even know the extent to his abuse?
Of course not. And I think he has some idea that what has happened to him wasn't something that should happen. But to the extent, I don't know.
Well, anyways, not our problems yet. I too am going to sleep. Enjoy your shower, leader.
Her sarcastic leader would have aggravated me if it wasn't for the topics she brought up beforehand. I waited in silence for the big guy to get out of the bathroom, and I went in. The shower was nice. Everyone was getting ready for bed, and I could just spend as much time in here as I needed. I thought about home. All of the tournaments I fought, and then initiation. And then I thought of Rowan's face when he talked about home. It hurt my heart so much, and I don't know why. Well, I'll just talk to Mom about it next time I call her. I stepped out of the shower, slipped under my covers, and the coziness of an actual bed sent me right to sleep.